Hi, this is Kim with Scholarly Pursuits. So, in this segment of Scholarly Pursuits, we're going to talk about the second interview. Most times, when you interview for a job, you are going to have at least one interview, sometimes two, sometimes even three, and I've even heard as many as five different interviews. So, you need to be prepared in the event that you have to interview multiple times. So, what should your preparation look like the second time around versus the first time you interviewed? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the second interview. We won't talk about the fifth interview just yet, but we will talk about the second interview because that seems to be most common. So you want to do some more in-depth research on the company you're interviewing with, especially if you didn't get to do any research at all. Because sometimes the first interview, even if it's by Zoom or if it's by the phone, some interviews are being done by phone, post-COVID and everything still. So, whatever version of the interview you're doing in person, Zoom or MS Teams or over the phone, these steps you would still take these same steps, okay? So, you want to prepare. You want to prepare first by researching the company or the organization that you're going to be working for. And that research can take the place of people that you know that work in the organization. Look at your networks, whether it be LinkedIn, whether it be Facebook, whether it be your local church or your inner circle. If you know someone or know someone that knows someone that works for the company, that firsthand knowledge or secondhand knowledge would be critical for you as you're researching the culture, the mission, the value statements, right? The vision. So you want to do more research on the company, their major stakeholders, what their culture is, anything that you can find out, their Facebook page, their LinkedIn page, their company corporate page. This is a good time to find out more about the company, right? Because you're now past that first interview that maybe you would look at it as a screening interview to now the second interview, because you're probably going to have higher level people in the organization attending this interview. The first one might have been done by HR or maybe an entry level person, supervisory person, maybe in the organization. But the next level of interview, you can almost be assured that they're going to be probably directors, managers, maybe some of the employees in the area that you're being considered for as well, so they can kind of get a feel for if you'd be a good fit for this organization. Now, in coming segments of Scholarly Pursuits, this YouTube channel, we will talk about fit and the culture and how to know when this organization or this company would be a good fit for you, right? Because you're looking at the fit, whether or not you'll fit into that culture, as well as they're looking at seeing whether or not you would be a good fit for them, right? It's sort of a two-way street. So, the second interview, you've now prepared, you've now researched the company every way that you could. What's going to be your next step? So, then let's look to the different questions. You know, the questions that they asked the first time around. I would assume they're not going to ask those questions again, but you'll want to just review those questions that were asked the first time around during the interview. And then you'll want to look at other questions, more in-depth questions, more position specific, by looking at the job posting, by looking at, you could Google questions about the type of job that you're applying for. So let's say you're applying for a chemical engineer job. So now you want to look at interview questions, and you can find lots of questions online actually, specific to a chemical engineer. And you can expect that there'll be some variation of those questions on the interview listing, right? The questions are going to get, I'll say, harder, more thoughtful as the interviews progress. And then, so now you've thought about the interviews. Of course, you're going to do your mock interview again, even if that mock interview is just you with the video camera or you in front of a mirror, looking at and coming up with scenarios and coming up with possible responses to these more in-depth, more thoughtful questions, right? Regardless of the format, regardless of the form, whether it's going to be MS Teams or Zoom or WebEx or something like that, Google Meets, you're going to do the same type of preparation. The other thing that you want to consider for this second interview is that there may be subsequent interviews, right? You want to know during this interview, you want to determine during this interview what the next steps are. Like, will there be a subsequent interview? And if there will be, then of course we're going to do a little more in-depth preparation for that third and that fourth. And if possible, if you can find out who will be a part of that interview process, that would be good information to know. So we're now at the second interview. We've done our preparation. We have looked at different interview questions and we feel confident in our responses and our experiences that we're going to share. We've talked about different questions about what if or how to apply your life's experiences, your life's education to this company and this organization. Remember, it's all about the job that you're interviewing for and how your skill set, your education could be applicable, could be useful to this organization, right? You want to get something out of the employment too. You want to get paid and you want to get benefits and you want to get job satisfaction. But when you're in the interview, you want to focus on what you can bring to this organization and anything that can differentiate you, any associations that you're a member of, any certifications that you've obtained, any additional schooling, any different volunteer that you can bring to bear. This would be a good time to share during this second interview. So now you've thought about the players in this particular interview. You've thought about the questions that you're going to ask, and you know that they're going to be a little more in depth and going to be kind of ratcheted up a little bit because you believe that the players in this particular interview are going to be the more higher level players. And then finally, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you put your best foot forward. It's still just an interview, right? It's still just an opportunity for you to sell yourself. Whether it's the first interview, whether it's the second interview, whether it's the third interview, you are here to share with them why you would be the best candidate for this position. Keep that in mind and you'll be successful in your second interview. This is Kim with Scholarly Pursuits, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today. If you found this information valuable or useful to you, I ask that you would like, subscribe, and share. And feel free to comment and share your experiences as you have interviewed or as you have applied for different jobs. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.